Hey everyone, this is Shane of the Always Next Year podcast. This is going to be just a quick 5 to 10 minutes. Just going to go through some changes that have gone through in the last several weeks, maybe last several months, here for the Always Next Year podcast. First and foremost, the end of the new year, or the end of last new year, we finally launched our brand new website. So on this website, we now have video content. We have links to our podcast. You can actually listen to the podcast on the website as well. We have all of our articles in a blog section right there. And then we also have just a little bit of a read-up on each one of the core members that are there. So I encourage you guys to go ahead, subscribe to that website. You guys will get all the new material that comes out, whether it's video, whether it's podcast audio, whether it is writing, or if we add additional members, you'll be able to meet them that way, which is pretty cool. So that website is www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. That's www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. Again, you can find everything that we do on that and a little bit of each member, which is really important. A couple other changes that we made. We changed our Twitter handle from always_next_YR. We've changed this to @ANYPodcast. It's a little bit easier to remember, a little bit easier to continue to follow. We changed our photo that was attached with that. Originally, it was just the 3 core podcast audio members that were in the photo there. We now put all 6 of our core members into kind of an album cover, black and white. There's also a glass of whiskey there for Schmitty, for Whiskey Schmitty. So that, if you see ANY Podcast and you see a black and white album cover, that's going to be us. I encourage you to follow that. One thing about that account is primarily for live tweeting during games and announcements. So one thing that you're not going to get a whole hell of a lot of is personality. So one thing I encourage you all to do is to follow all of our personals. And I will put all of our personal Twitter accounts in the bio, as well as our ANY podcast account in the bio of this podcast segment. But real quick, I'm going to go through each one of the members who are involved in these audio segments. So first, I'll give you mine. It's @Shane_Mead. Second member is LJ Harrell. He is the second one he's part of the original 3 founders with me and baby Steve. LJ's is @LJ Harrell 54. And then Steve is @Schmitty324. And then the 2 people that we added shortly thereafter are Rob Gilmore, who actually works in radio. He's phenomenal. So Rob is @radio_Rob. And then the second member was Kevin Kiskavage, who hosts our 76ers show. So if you listen to that, he's phenomenal. He makes that whole show and segment. He also hosts a sports and film segment, so he's really good. But Kevin's Twitter handle is @Kevman316. Sorry, he just changed his handle, so I was trying to remember that. But it's @Kevman316. After that, we have our media personality, who is Stephanie Frankenfield. Hers is @Stephanie E. Ray, RAE 90. She's just created one, so go ahead, give her a follow. She provides a ton of wit and sarcasm. It's basically her thing. And then Connor is our writer. He's actually from Canada, so we don't get him in studio all that often, with obvious reason. But he's really, really good. So we acquired him not too long ago. He's put out several pieces in his short time with us. He's wrapping up his dissertation at university right now, but we expect in the next month or so to have him on board in a little bit more of a full-time basis, both in audio segments. It won't be necessarily anything other than that. Maybe some Skype video segments, and then obviously he's going to continue in with his writing. But Connor, his name is Connor Donald. His Twitter handle is @Connor10. So again, if you do happen to follow our ANY podcast account and there's a little bit of a lack of personality, we're trying to keep that as professional as possible. not going to say professionalism goes 100% out the window on all of our personals, but it goes 100% out the window on our personals. So you get a little bit more of the personality behind each one of those names and voices. So give all of us a follow, give the podcast account a follow, and you'll be able to start sitting there. And like I said, our entire point of view from being able to put this entire show together was to create another outlet that was informative and fun, right? And welcoming. We want to make it feel like you're sitting at the bar with us, right? Which is kind of everyone's idea, I suppose. We try to make it a little bit different. So subscribe to each one of follow each one of us on each one of those. We've also started titling our segments now. So I'll give you the host of each segment and the primary co-hosts of those segments, as well as the hashtag that is the title that you're going to use if you want to be included in any of those segments. So that is if you have mailbag questions, that is if you have takes or rants or anything that you want read on the air or heard on the air, you can just submit it using that hashtag or just tweet at the podcast account. So Rob Gilmore hosts our Flyer segment. If Rob is not in studio to host it, I host it. Our hockey segment is typically co-hosted by one of either me or Rob, whoever is not hosting, and Steve Schmidt. We'll eventually get Connor Donald in there. He's written a couple NHL articles so far that are really good. We appreciate those. But those are the main people that are going to be on the hockey segments. Occasionally you get LJ, occasionally you get Steph. This segment is called Get Pucked. So you're going to use the hashtag Get Pucked for anything that you want read or heard on any of these segments. Best takes, if we start getting too many, those will be the ones that go on. Kevin Kiskavage, I mentioned that he hosts the NBA segment, so he hosts our Sixers segments. He's extremely good. That's probably, I'm biased. This is my favorite segment, outside of the one that I host, of course. But it's extremely good. And it is called TJsOneofUs. So that's hashtag TJsOneofUs. Anything you want read or said, use that hashtag. That one is typically just me and Kev. Occasionally we do get Rob in on that one. So when we get the three of us, that's usually a really, really good segment. I host in Cap We Trust. That is our Philadelphia Phillies segment, our MLB segment, our prospect segment. So I go ahead and I talk about all things Philadelphia Phillies there. This one ends up being a lot of the times kind of a solo thing, but we do try to incorporate both Rob and LJ as often as possible. We will start getting, let's see, who else will be in on this? Stephanie will be on it a little bit, Connor may be on a little bit, and Baby Steve should be able to, once again, start getting back into it. So that one is use the hashtag and Cap We Trust. And then the segment that started it for us was our NFL segment. So for those of you who don't know, when we started this podcast and we started this idea, we started it in the middle, probably about a month into the Eagles Super Bowl season. And me and LJ were talking about it and Baby Steve, and we're like, what can we do here? Well, let's go with the most popular team in the town at the time. Let's talk Philadelphia Eagles football. So this is hosted by LJ, who is far and away our best host. LJ actually interned at ANYP. He has more useless knowledge than anyone I've ever met in my entire existence, and the guy is almost never wrong. It is brutal sometimes being there and having to constantly hear the I told you so. That said, he hosts a phenomenal segment. His segment is called The Kelly Green Hour. His segment, again, all things Philadelphia Eagles football, free agency, trade talks, anything Eagles football. That's it. Kelly Green Hour. It's a half hour, but hey, we call it the Kelly Green Hour. We also do have during the season, we have the NFL Pick'em segment, which is where we place some bets with each other based on the over-under, the spread, just everything. We pick a couple upset games and we make some ridiculous bets, whether it's, whatever it is, we end up posting videos of the absurdities of it. So you'll have some fun with it. We also have a sports and film section that is hosted by Kevin Kiskavage, Kevin K. Kev's great. So he had some additional depth and personality to us by bringing in that sports and film thing. So in those lighter weeks, we get to have a little bit of fun with things like that. We also have a get to know the team segment where we sit there, and this is on really dead weeks, or if people just have a lot of questions that send into our personal accounts about who the hell we are as people. So we answer everything from movies, or favorite movies from favorite books, to favorite TV shows and foods and restaurants and things that we hate and things that we love, and best vacations we've had, worst dating experiences, damn near anything. But again, we try to sit there and connect with you guys on a personal level. That way you can kind of enjoy us. And again, feel like we're all friends, feel like we're all out, we're having this conversation. We want you to feel like when you see us out at the store, when you see us at these games, you can come on over and we can just chat like we've known each other for 20 years. That's our goal here. So that's the importance of a segment such as that one. So we do like to utilize it occasionally. It's usually pretty fun. It's usually no direction whatsoever. It's a goddamn mess. But some of the other changes that we're going to be going through is we are actually in the process of building a brand new studio. So we're really, really excited about that. So ever since we started this, we decided that we were not going to put in a ton of money into this until we decided that, you know what, we're getting listeners, we're getting followers, we're getting some interaction. And we've been really fortunate this year that we started to really gain some more following, gain some more listeners on this segment, gain some, not so much in the video segments yet, but we'll get there. We haven't actually built anything yet. These are literally Skype conversations, but when we actually build this studio up, we'll have a little bit more of a professional look, which will be really cool. So we're super excited about that. And one of the cool things about all new types of equipment, outside of the fact that the quality will be significantly better, is the fact that we're actually going to have a couple cameras set up in the studio at all times. One of the things that we realize is, and that we joke all the time, is the fact that while our voice inflections may show some personality, it doesn't show everything. I can't tell you how many times I get up and walk the hell around because I'm so frustrated at some points that have been made, or how many times LJ's got that heavy-ass eye roll because he's so annoyed that someone said something positive about Scotty Kingery. I can't tell you how many times Kevin K sits there, and I don't know that I have ever in my life felt a room turn so hard on an eye roll. It's like he flips the whole damn thing over when you sit there and disagree with one of his points, and it's hilarious. So we look to add some personality on some of that. So we're going to have a bunch of cameras set up. You'll also see what the studio looks like, which is cool. You know, we have Scotty Lawton's first goal. We have that autographed in here. We have Flyers, Wells Fargo Center Panorama. We got a Weapon X autograph coming out the tunnel. Brent Selleck autograph. We got a couple movie posters. We have, what the hell else do we have up in here? We got a bunch of autographed pucks and baseballs. We have the magazines from when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, when the Cubs won the World Series, which is really cool. But we got a lot of cool stuff in here that kind of shows and reflects a lot of our personality as individuals and where our fandom kind of came from. So we look forward to actually having like almost like a commercial type of setting where every time we post a segment, we can put together like a 45-second clip, attach that to our Instagram, to our Facebook, to our Twitter, and to our personals as well, and kind of sell that segment a little bit more, and it adds some personality and depth. So we're really excited to welcome you guys kind of into our studio with us. We're also going to begin taking some live calls, and we're going to be taking some guests, all stuff that we're really excited for, and we're, like I said, we're aiming for, you know, middle of summer at this point is when this is looking like it's going to be complete. But we'll take you through this process as we add additional members, as we make different changes, as we add segments. I'll do more ad spots just like this where I sit there and explain some of those changes. Final thing before we sign this one off. I know we went a little longer than the 5 to 10 minutes, but last thing we're going to get to here is one of the things that I continue to mention is that we want to make it feel like you're involved. We want you to have that voice. We want you to feel like you're in this conversation with us. We don't want to produce this content just for ourselves. We want to produce it for you, for the listeners. So be sure, if you listen to us, send us in reviews. Send us in comments if you've already sent in reviews. Anything that you would like changed. If you would like a specific segment, if you have a segment idea of something that you want us to do, we can work that in. If it's something that, you know, that our core agrees, hey, this is a really good opportunity, let's see what we can roll with this. You know, this is something that our listeners want. Sorry, losing my voice here. But anything that you guys have, it's really important to us that you submit those reviews. We don't really give a shit about the stars. You can give us 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. It really does not matter. We care about the content within that review. So it can be literally anything. You can say, Shane, you're too quiet. LJ, you're too loud. It genuinely doesn't matter. It can be about the content. It can be about the quality of the content. It really doesn't matter. We're just looking to improve, and we're looking to sit there and ensure that we're making sure that we're hitting all the right things for you guys, the listeners. So where you can review us: Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher for the Android users, Spotify, SoundCloud, Spreaker. You can leave us, you can't really leave us reviews on our website, but what you can do is we have a mailbag section there. So if you have comments that you would like to submit to us, just write in the subject line, review. That'll work. Stephanie will get those, and she puts it all together for us in a pamphlet and booklet. She puts together all of our mailbag questions. She selects the best ones each week, and whenever we have those, she's the one who's giving it to us. So make sure that you write something that stands out. But you could certainly do it there. Again, our website is www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. Thanks again for listening into this ad spot, so to speak, for the Always Next Year podcast. Again, be sure to follow all of our personals. I will add all of those in the bio. Follow all of our ANYP accounts. I will add those in the bio as well. Thanks again for listening. My name is Shane Mead of the Always Next Year podcast. We'll be back this week with several segments, we got a free agency for the NFL stuff coming up. We got some more Bryce Harper and Philadelphia Phillies news. Kevin K's back in studio, so we have a Sixers segment coming up again, and then we have another Flyers segment. And I'm also on another Flyers segment for another show for the Brotherly Pod of Dan the Flyer, a fan. If you don't subscribe to him, go ahead and go do that. His show's phenomenal. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up this week. All right, thanks again for listening. I'm going to sign off for now, and we'll see you guys later this week.